All right, hockey fans, welcome to another edition, episode 2 of Snapshots, a hockey development podcast. This podcast is really put together for players, parents, coaches to understand some of the nuances in the game, things that I've experienced as a junior coach for now over 15 years, and some of the pitfalls that they can avoid by making some good decisions that are based in logic and rationality. Something maybe that is absent sometimes from our hockey world. Today's episode really is going to be about what matters more, exposure or development. And it's a great question, and it's a lot of nuances in that. The answer to that question. I mean, everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to become, a player that can get placed into college. But if you go too early into an exposure opportunity, you might not be ready. So it's important you're playing at the right level. And today we're going to talk about some of the biggest mistakes I've seen chasing exposure over development. All right, common mistakes. Things that I've seen. Playing too high. You get no puck touches. Travel teams over skill work. So playing games constantly throughout the summer instead of developing and enhancing your game so that you're ready for those opportunities when they're presented to you. Showcases without preparation. So going into different formats that can really kind of showcase some of your weaknesses into your game rather than showcase the ability to play at the next level. And then parents chasing logos instead of growth. Now, one of the most common areas that I see some of these problems arising is that transition from 14U to 16U or that decision to play prep or high school hockey. This is a common thing in 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade here in the United States. And I really caution a lot of people when they're looking at the prep school route not to go too early. Prep schools allow postgraduates to play. So sometimes if you're a freshman, a kid who's playing 14U or maybe a first year 16U player, and you're competing against a 19-year-old who's played 18U and multiple years of high school, maybe a fifth year of high school, unless you're super skilled, you may find yourself in a situation where you're not getting any playing time because of your size, stature, and physical preparedness. So it's something really to weigh, delaying that prep school opportunity, maybe a year, maybe two, so that you can play full season 16s or finish your 14U journey. Because oftentimes, like I said, you may be matched up physically, someone that you might be a better player with and might have a way higher ceiling, but they're more physically mature and ready to play. Another one I see it is at the AAA level versus junior. A lot of kids like to go after the logo of playing AAA instead of some junior programs that they might be being recruited by. But when they compare apples to apples, what the format and structure of the program looks like, they're choosing a AAA program that may practice only 2 or 3 times a week, but has a good track record of success maybe. But they might be in a situation where they could play for a junior team that has 5 days of practices a week and plays roughly the same amount of games. One over the other, you're definitely going to want to look for those opportunities where, obviously bearing in mind the full scope of everything, but you're going to want to look for opportunities where you can continue it to accelerate your game. And I nearly guarantee if you have a structured practice model that has double the practices of one over the other, one may be labeled AAA, the other may be labeled junior, but that place where you can really enhance your game, that's going to pay off in the long run. So those are things really to consider. What actually matters? What actually matters? Development over exposure. I call these kind of the 3 pillars of it. Number 1, skill development. Are you getting reps, touches? Are you acquiring confidence? Can you execute under pressure? Number 2, hockey IQ, decision making, understanding the game. Are you playing for a coach at maybe AAA that only has one forecheck and only has some very basic face-off alignments? Well, when you get to college, you might have to adjust to completely new systems and new concepts and ideas. So getting a coach that can teach you more, multiple forechecks, structure on the PK, power play scenarios that maybe you can be a part of or not be a part of. But understanding those deeper level ideas can pay off in huge amounts in the long run with your overall hockey development. And then number 3, obviously, is confidence. confidence is one of those things that's once you lose it, it's very tough to get back. If you're a player that's been a scorer your whole life, and then all of a sudden you're learning how to chip pucks off the glass and you're seeing 8 minutes in a game, you're not building confidence through success at the right level. So it's important to consider, okay, where am I going to get puck touches? Where am I going to get valuable minutes? And where am I going to fit in where I can accelerate and continue my growth? Those are things that are really, really important. Maybe we'll do some real world examples. Our Wolves system, Coach Kuhns and I pride ourselves on having a very strong development model. That's been really, we're both coaches who like to focus on skills. And that's really the fun part of the business sometimes is seeing a kid go from one place into the next place. I've seen a lot of kids go through our program and then maybe choose another path because they're going to a coach that has a good track record. And not to say that Coach Kuhns or myself don't have a good track record of putting kids in college, but maybe somebody else has a even stronger track record of putting kids into certain levels of college hockey. And the kid may go there and get a college commitment. But oftentimes what happens is they're neglecting the skill element and they're focusing on just that placement opportunity that the coach can provide for them. So when they eventually get that next level opportunity, that college commitment, they go to that place and they don't have the success that they possibly could have had by continuing to grow, develop, and get better. Getting better is the key. A player drops a level, he can dominate sometimes and rebuild his confidence and move back up because no one cares where you played at 14. They care where you play at 18 or 16 or 18 or even 20. So it's important to think about, where am I going to get touches? Where am I going to get situational proficiency? Where am I going to enhance my game and get bigger and stronger in the right areas? Rather than just like, oh, this guy puts a lot of kids into college, I got to go to him. Well, where do you fit on his radar? Is that the place you want to go? Stuff to think about. These are all very major decisions if you're a parent or a player looking for your opportunity down the road. The balance. This builds trust. Okay, exposure does matter eventually, but timing is everything. Okay, 12 to 14 in my book, that's really your development years. You're not overly pursuing going to an elite prep school unless you're like, you're at the top of the heap and you're looking at some of the teams that are always competing for national championships in that academy model or those 18-year or 16-year models. 15 or 16 years looking for development, continuing to progress your game with a little bit of exposure. Exposures that could provide opportunities if you're ready for it in the NA draft or the NCDC or USHL draft, even the Canadian leagues. Those are the places because you're a very, very small handful of kids are going to make college commitments at 15 or 16. It's a needle in a haystack at that point. But 17 plus, age 17 and older, you still want to continue to progress your game, of course, but you're also going to be looking for more exposure opportunities. Don't go too early. Okay, don't go too early and focus right now. Oh, I'm 14. I want to play at Boston College. I got to get a commitment right now. And then when you're frustrated when it doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't happen for 99.9% of the kids you're playing against. So why should it be the focus for your play when you're developing your game and who knows what's going to happen down the road? Actionable takeaways. Ask yourself, am I getting better every week? If you're a player who can honestly self-assess and say, I'm getting better every week, then you're in a pretty good spot. That's a good spot for your long-term development. It's a good spot for your long-term health and growth within the game. Am I touching the puck enough? If you're not touching the puck enough, whether it be in games or practices, you might not have the right practice environment, and you might not be getting the minutes you need in games, or you might be playing over your head. Am I gaining confidence in the games? So, your practice all week, that's your study for the test. Test time comes on game day. Are you getting enough confidence in games where you're like thinking to yourself, this can lead to something. This can build off what I'm doing. I can continue to go in the game, to move forward in the game. If you're coming out of games where you're playing 5-6 minutes, you chip 3 pucks off the glass and you were the F3 on every forecheck, you might want to reconsider the level. Stop chasing being seen. Honestly, kids, parents, hockey's a lot of fun. Start becoming a player they can't ignore. One of the things Coach and Tunes and I used to always talk about is in the previous junior league, there was 4 to 6 showcases a year. And we had some really, really good players over the years. But as the same college coaches would see them, they'd love them in September, love them in October. They'd want to get them to commit by November. And then they're seeing them again in February when that player is way better than they were at the beginning of the year. But they've been seen so many times by that particular coach, he's kind of fallen out of love with them. So if you're just going for the exposure, oftentimes it's like being in a relationship. Sometimes you lose that spark if you're getting seen all the time. I know it sounds kind of funny, but that's just the reality. Make sure that you're making impressionable contributions every time you're on the ice. A player that's easy to fall in love with because they seem to be obviously getting better each and every game, each and every showcase, and they're adding to their game. They're doing more things. If you were purely a goal scorer playing on the offensive end of the puck in September and October, maybe you acquired a little more physicality by January or February. Maybe you become more of a vocal leader, and that's obvious on the ice in January or February. Maybe your coach trusts you more to put you in different situations like the penalty kill or end of game scenarios. But do things that can earn you more opportunities for exposure, but also earn you more opportunities with your current coach before you're ready to say, I'm ready for the next level. I'm not sure where you're playing if you're listening to this, okay? But I implore you to check out our AI Hockey Advisor. It's www.aihockeyadvisor.com. That can give you some really good feedback on, what are good levels for you based upon your current level of play and your production within that level. And it can give you a coach connector. It can give you training modules, things that can immediately help you in your game. And also, players and parents, check out my Substack. It's it's called the Hockey Planner. It provides weekly paid and free content that everything from a coach's perspective to a game IQ perspective to stuff that players can do. So it's really, really a fun resource to have. And then I got a couple books. Make sure you check out, go to Amazon, check out Coach Trimble's books. I got stuff like the Hockey Planner and Why Players Don't Get Better, and some other ones coming down the road. So again, players, to recap, play at a level that builds confidence. Confidence creates performance. Performance creates exposure. It's not in any other order. If you're good enough, coaches will see you. But if you're not good enough, don't be shown too early because the coach can write you off oftentimes. So keep getting better. Hopefully this helps. I'm Andrew Trimble, and thanks for tuning in to Snapshots.